So I'm sure by now that most of you have heard this orange criminal piece of shit talk about his falling out with Jeffrey Epstein. He said that the reason they had a falling out is because Epstein stole a teenage girl from him who worked at Mar-a-Lago. Now, many people have discussed his use of the word stole or stolen, referring to this teenage girl. I think we really need to focus on this and really make a big deal about this. Because his choice of words is so appalling and perhaps gives a window, a look into the way this man views these teenage girls. I mean, who uses the word stole or stolen when referring to a human being? You steal property. So first of all, this harkens back to images of slavery, when human beings were treated as property. And you could steal a human being back in those days because they were considered just property, no different than any other kind of property. And if you stole a slave from another slave owner, you could be prosecuted for theft of property. So there's that. And so just use of the word stolen when referring, in this case, to a teenage girl is on its face disgusting beyond description. But it's not just slave holders from back in the day who viewed human beings as property. Sex traffickers view human beings as property. And so while I don't believe that Donald Trump used that word because he thinks of her as a slave, or maybe he does, but it seems much more fitting that Donald Trump was comfortable in the Jeffrey Epstein world, the world of sex traffickers, because he's using their language. Now, I don't know that we can read any specifics about what Donald Trump may have done into his use of the word stole or stolen when referring to this young girl, who at the time was a young girl, teenager. But who uses that word? Donald Trump was buddy-buddy with someone who we know, while he was buddy-buddies with this guy, was a sex trafficker of underage girls. Donald Trump was friends with him at that time. Donald Trump at least moved in circles with sex traffickers who probably would view these girls as nothing more than property to be owned and bought or sold or stolen. Donald Trump was more than just acquainted with this man. Donald Trump, as Jeffrey Epstein said himself, was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for more than a decade, to the extent that Donald Trump actually can be friends with anyone. And such is his mental illness, personality defects, what have you, I don't think he is truly capable of friendship. But Jeffrey Epstein perceived it that way. But in any event, they were close. Epstein considered that he was Trump's best friend for more than a decade. Best friends with a sex trafficker. And here he is, looking back on his falling out with that former best friend, sex trafficker of teenage girls. And in reflecting upon his falling out with his former best friend, sex trafficker of underage girls, teenage girls, Donald Trump said, well, we had a falling out because he stole a teenage girl from me. That's what he said. I don't think we should let that go. I think we should drill down on this. And I think we should force these MAGAs to defend that. This man is sick. I don't know exactly what his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein was. I don't know what he may or may not have done. But he sure as hell sounds guilty. His deflections, his desperate attempts to change the subject, his shifting explanations. Oh, there are no files, so there's nothing to release. Well, there may be files, but they're a hoax. They were created by Obama and Biden and Comey. And so whatever they say, not that there are files, but if there are files, whatever they say is a hoax. It's all lies. We're not stupid. MAGA, Trump supporters, they're fucking stupid. The rest of us are not stupid. We know he is guilty of something. Whether that something is in fact a crime with respect to Jeffrey Epstein, because we know he's guilty of a whole hell of a lot of crimes. But is he guilty of committing the kinds of crimes that we know Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell committed? I don't know. But here's what I do know. He sure as hell speaks and acts like someone who is guilty of committing the kinds of crimes against teenage girls and younger that Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell committed. Did he? I don't know. But we deserve to know. This man is President of the United States. Unfucking believably. Don't let this go. Keep up the pressure. Demand answers. Do not let them change the subject. Thanks for watching.